Good morning, everybody, and welcome to our Thursday morning gathering brought to you by Harvard Pilgrim Healthcare and Tufts Health Plan. My name is Tara Healey, the founder and director of our program. With me today for a little bit this morning is Jonathan Roberts. John is the program manager and always joins us for the first few moments to share upcoming events or to remind people of things that we have done that you can view if you didn't have a chance to attend, and anything else that John might surprise us with. So if you have not opened the chat, please go ahead and do that. This is, of course, webinar format, and so we can communicate over chat. The practice this morning will be a body scan and about 12 or so minutes, give or take a little bit. And then we'll save time at the end for sharing resources, ideas, asking questions, anything along those lines. So John, I am going to send it right over.
Oh, well, Tara, thank you. I try to be surprising, but not too surprising. I know it's early. Don't want to do any jump scares here. But Tara, as you know, I'm here today, as I often am, as a representative of Living Well Community, which is the library of live and on-demand wellness programming created and curated for you and me by Harvard Pilgrim Healthcare and Tufts Health Plan. So I'm here to talk about a couple things. First and foremost, Tara, the wonderful interview which you and our colleague Lisa Gormley did on Tuesday with Dr. Chris Willard. Now, that interview is a part, or was a part, of our Art and Science of Awareness series, which happens to take place on the last Tuesday of each month, and which features our interviews with researchers working on the cutting edge of mindfulness science. Now, before I say anything else, I just want to drop into the chat the link to where folks can find the recording of that interview with Chris in case they should care to watch it. And I think they should. It was wonderful. If anyone had a chance to participate in our conversation with Chris live, what was happening, please let us know in the chat anything that you found interesting, meaningful, provocative. Tara, what stood out for you, if I may?
I would love to know if anybody here this morning did attend. Please let us know in the chat. There were a lot of things, John, that he talked about, and he works with primarily youth, but all the way up to college age, and now young adult is an area that he's been focusing on. But one of the things that stood out that is no surprise, I think it was Lisa's question about how she can support her daughter, with these practices. And Chris basically said by supporting yourself with the practices. So, the idea that, and this is true in schools. I know, oftentimes teachers want to help their students by teaching them mindfulness. And oftentimes the instruction is for the teachers to be practicing themselves, for parents and guardians and aunts and uncles, caregivers to be practicing themselves it's not a new concept. I appreciate the repetition of hearing that again and again.
By the way, Tara, I don't have the link to this handy, but I know that in the past 6 months or so, there was released a meta-analysis of, I believe it was 41 studies on mindfulness in schools to study the efficacy across a number of different studies, and the results were good. I guess that's all I can say about that without having the study in front of me. But,
yeah, no, that's great.
But I was not aware of there having been a meta-analysis done to date, so that's pretty interesting.
Yeah.
That's enough research so you can actually look at the body of it. But, Tara, if I may, for my own part, one thing I really liked about your interview with Chris, some of the mindfulness researchers we talk with have as their mission to, dig into the nuts and bolts of the brain science, right?
Yes.
This region of the brain lights up when we meditate. These inflammation markers get deactivated when we meditate. And this stuff is super interesting and vital for understanding how to maximize the value of mindfulness practice in our lives. But being a psychologist, Chris takes it from a different angle. He's not, putting people into fMRI machines to see how their brains are working. He's trying to discover how to most effectively get people to meditate in the first place, how to explain mindfulness to them in such a way that it makes people want to do it, so those benefits, which the brain scientists are studying, can actually take hold. And as you said, one of the groups that Chris works with is kids, and so the techniques he uses are, if I may be so frank, adorable. And I can give
Yes.
you some examples. I actually pulled some pages from his book Alpha Breaths, which is one of
Oh,
the
good.
many books that he's had a hand in writing or co-writing. And so I want to show you just a few of these pages. So this is it. The idea is that in the book, he's showing kids how to do proper mindfulness breathing techniques, comparing it to the postures that animals might have. So here we have alligator breath, where you open your arms wide like alligator jaws on the in-breath, and then close them on the out-breath, or butterfly breath, where you're opening and closing on the in and out breath. Or you have cake breath, where you breathe in, imagining a birthday cake, breathe out, imagining blowing out the candles. And superhero breath, this was a very, very nice one. Imagining you're a superhero, breathe out, imagine how you will be helping someone. So here's why I thought this was so nice, right? I mean, these exercises are obviously designed to be attractive to young people, but speaking for myself, I don't think they would be any less effective for older folks like me. Because as sad as it may be for me to admit, I'm pretty sure I'm not that much more tuned into my body than I was when I was, a kid, right? And I think about it like picking up the violin. I'm 46. I've never played the violin. If I were to pick up the violin, it's not as though I should expect to play it better than a 5-year-old just because I'm older than a 5-year-old. I would be learning to play the violin pretty much exactly like a 5-year-old would be learning to play it in spite of my age. And likewise, learning to find and follow the subtle expression of the breath and other sensations in our body, to hold our attention on those things like we do in meditation. If you're not already a seasoned meditator, most adults are going to be no better at that starting off than would be a child, right? And so I, for one, am planning on making butterfly breath a part of my routine because I think that's a pretty good one, actually. And also, things that are cute tend to be more memorable. Why we should all have baby Yodas teaching us to play violin and also to speak French. Heather says it's exciting and hopeful to be teaching these practices to our children. I agree with that wholeheartedly. Tara, may I
Yeah,
interject one more thing if you
of
don't mind?
course, please. Yeah.
So starting this Tuesday, and on the first 4 Tuesdays in April, that being April 1st, April 8th, April 15th, April 22nd, 12 p.m. to 12:30 p.m. Eastern, Tara, your friend of mine, and maybe all of our new friends, Shanti Douglas, will be hosting sessions for Living Well community entitled The Mindful Gardener. Shanti is going to be exploring how we can bring mindfulness to gardening and how gardening might teach us a thing or two about being mindful. Tara, are you much of a gardener yourself? Is this are you?
Interestingly enough, John, as much as I take such delight in watching things kind of pop out of the ground, flowers and other things, no, I'm not a gardener, but I really appreciate gardening and love our colleague Angelique has quite an amazing garden that I have seen, and I just kind of marvel in the mystery of it.
Well, this might be a chance, Tara, to help unpack that mystery a little bit. And I'm with you, right? I grew up in Iowa, but the town I grew up in was an old factory town, a riverboat town, a gambling town, not a farming community. And so I feel the process by which things grow into other things, seeds to flowers or plants or food, that process was hidden from me almost on a Truman Show style level. I still
Ah.
don't know what most things look like coming out of the ground. Tara, are there any fruits or vegetables that when you first actually saw them growing, you were like, whew, that's not what I expected?
I'm not sure. Yeah, I think I would say no, not necessarily. But last year, we did start a few herbs from seed. So basil and oregano and rosemary. And so just like for me starting there and seeing things kind of come, you don't know what they're going to look like. I mean, you're not sure what they're going to turn into, but very exciting.
I know there's sometimes a twist at the end there. I mean, the first time I ever saw a picture of a cashew tree was like the first time I ever saw a picture of a star-nosed mole. I thought to myself, maybe the universe is even a little more mysterious than I would prefer it to be. So please, folks, Google cashew trees or star-nosed mole if you want Pure nightmare fuel, as the kids say. Anyway, moving on, I'm just going to drop into the links where folks can access our sessions with links into the
Oh,
chat
great.
where folks
Yeah,
can
yeah.
access our sessions with Shanti starting on Tuesday. And Tara, I'm going to leave you. I've taken up enough of your time
Okay.
already, but thank you so much as always for the opportunity to be here. And good to see you and good to see everyone. And
Thank you.
a great
Thanks.
meditation.
Thanks, John. All right, everybody, let's go ahead and move right into a posture that feels like it's going to work for you this morning. So that could be, of course, standing, lying down, or seated as I am. Your eyes can be open or closed, whatever feels best for you. So let's go ahead and settle in, making micro movements so that you're holding yourself in a way that is engaged and upright if you're seated or standing, and in a way that is not too loose and not too tight. So as you settle in, letting go of all that has already happened this morning and releasing anticipation of what's to come, just checking in and noticing the various sensations in the body from your activity. And so that could be a pulsing, a vibration, tingling. Perhaps you're aware of the points of contact with the back of the body and the surface that you're on, just feeling that, subtle, what does that point of connection actually feel like? And what else are you noticing? Temperature, other touch points, a subtle vibration in the body. So bringing this kind of kind, curious attention to your body with an attitude of allowing. So the various some sensations are pleasant, some are unpleasant, and some kind of have more of a neutral tone. So just see and receive and allow. How are things this morning? And see if you can soften into the receptivity of what's happening. Let's take a moment to expand awareness to include sound that may be occurring in the room or outside of the room. Engage the sense of hearing, simply receiving without labeling what's making it, just engaging hearing. And releasing that, let's come back for a moment to whole body awareness. Noticing any particular areas as you're holding the whole body that you want to bring a little more focus to, receiving. And I'm going to move now to taking us through isolating different parts of the body and just bringing awareness there. Nothing really to do, but just noticing what's there. If you're feeling a desire to soften a particular area, of course, that's okay. But really, we're just going to kind of scan through, receiving, noticing sensation or lack of sensation. Lack of sensation is something um, to be aware of. So either sensation or lack of. And I'm going to actually start at the very top of the head. So just bring your attention right there, isolating this part of your body, receiving, noticing. Coming down over the sides of the head, including your ears and the back of the head. And moving awareness now to your face. So the forehead, eyes, nose, cheeks, the jaw, the tongue, the mouth, the chin. And moving down now to the neck and coming to the shoulders. Let's move awareness down the arms, both the left and the right. So the upper arms, the elbows, the forearms, and the hands. Aware of sensation, aware of lack of sensation, aware of touch points, perhaps. And moving awareness now to the torso. So the front and back of the body internally receptive, curious, allowing, and moving down now over the hips and thighs. Holding awareness in this part of your body. And perhaps there is a point of contact that you're aware of, or other sensation or lack of sensation. But just isolating hips and thighs, this part of the body in your field of awareness. And let's move to the knees, both the left and the right, and this smaller region, isolating this part of your body, the tops and the sides and the back. And moving now to the lower legs, so the calves and the shins, both the left and the right. And let's make our way to the feet. So the toes and the soles of the feet, the top of the feet, the heels, holding both the left and the right in your field of awareness, isolating this region of your body and noticing and receiving. And releasing that. And coming back for a moment to whole body awareness. Taking a moment for each of you just to scan through the body and notice any particular areas that might want attention, might want your awareness. Thinking of awareness like the sun, like the warmth of the sun. And as a way to close our practice, I want to read from a book called The Wakeful Body, Somatic Mindfulness as the Path to Freedom. And I randomly opened this morning. And so I want to read this short passage from this author, Willa Blythe Baker. She's talking about a cabin that she has and what happens in spring. So you can move awareness from body to tracking the words that I'm saying and also noticing, how the mind tends to wander and that's not a problem. As soon as you notice, gently release and return to the words. Every spring at my cabin after the harsh winter of snow and deep freeze, there is the thaw. First sound, trickling and dripping of water, then rushing of streams spontaneously cropping up from the snowmelt. And then, as the sun warms the earth, the green shoots appear. One of the most miraculous is the fiddlehead fern. It nudges up from the ground as a tightly coiled spiral, and then slowly the sun and warmth coax it to unwind, unfurl, and eventually spread its fronds out wide. The fiddlehead is like our body and mind. We carry tension, tightness, and gripping that are largely unconscious to us. And these tensions are not one time events, but have often built from various patterns. When we meditate with the body, bringing awareness to the inner world, space starts to open up. Awareness, like sunshine in the spring, illuminates the dark places and thaws the parts of the self that are rigid and tightly held. Refinements of our attention as loving, non judgmental, and effortless are like the rich soil. Under such conditions, knots begin to loosen. So, as a way to end, I'll always say, may whatever good comes of our practice be of benefit to all beings everywhere. So, we have a little bit of time. So, we've got, a few minutes to share insights or thoughts or observations, questions, really anything at all. I mentioned this book, so I did mention it yesterday too, so I'll just put that up so folks can see it, but The Wakeful Body. And doing body-centered practices has been very alive for me lately. And so whether that's just out walking, movement practices, but also, noticing, for instance, this morning before I got out of bed, I just noticing how I was actually holding different parts of the body, like there was a little bit of a bracing, and I'm like, interesting. And it's just, to take that moment and to soften. Um, let's see here. Yeah, I think, the practice, I love what I just sort of randomly picked up in reading, especially about the fiddlehead ferns. And it's funny because John had said, "Is there anything, that kind of grows up that really grabs you?" And I did not think of that in the moment of his asking, but the fiddlehead ferns, when you see how tightly they are, and, there's another name for them. Maybe one of you know that, and you can eat them and they're delicious. Sarah, sharing two resources, somatic and cyclic. Okay. Lynn Frazier, somatic mindfulness. Nice. Lynn Frazier, stillpoint.com. 5 minutes of cyclic sighing can actually be more effective than simple meditation. Cyclic. So deep double inhale through the nose, exhale slowly through the mouth with, okay. Oh, this is great. Sarah, that's really, really great. And I think with all of these things where she says cyclic sighing can be more effective than simple meditation, I would just underscore the uniqueness of each of us. And at different times in our life, that cyclic breathing could be more effective than meditation. And in another time, meditation might be exactly what we need. I'm always about trusting your inner wisdom, really trusting your inner wisdom and knowing what might be needed and trying these things, just trying. Crozier is another. Oh, okay. That's not what I was thinking. I was thinking there was something else, but that's interesting to know as well. I'm going to put the wakeful body into the chat. Yeah, but Sarah, that's super helpful. I just feel like for, whatever reason in my life right now, the somatic practices are super helpful. I think in part, I may have mentioned this, that my mom passed away on February 18th. So at different moments, I feel a lot of grief around that loss. And really checking into where can I locate that grief? And for me, it seems to always land in the solar plexus. So, just allowing space in that area and, bringing a sense of nurturance feels super helpful and important. Yeah. Thank you, David. Yeah. Yeah. She was a good one. She was a good mom. She was 92. And, she lived a good life. But it's for those of you that have lost a parent, I mean, it's a tough one. It can be. I mean, relationships are different, but yeah. So for me, like just working with the grief and I what's happening too is that I am being I'll get like at an inopportune time, I will be struck with the enormity of the loss. So, um, you know, because and so many people that have lost loved ones find that they seem to be moving along, and then all of a sudden, a scent or a memory or a song or something triggers, and I'm grateful for all of it. So other thoughts or observations, anything anybody would like to share? And I really um, appreciate all of you and all of what you bring to this session. Practicing alone is really hard, and that we have built this community over the past several years. And I am really grateful for it. And if you didn't see yesterday's with Chris Willard, I would recommend it. And then April is Susan Bauer Wu. Susan actually is the one who told me about the Wakeful Body book, but she is a palliative care nurse. She has done a lot. She's written a book on death and dying, and she has also written a book on the environment called A Future We Can Love, and that is fabulous. So she is the April guest and really, really wonderful. So I think that my like parting words would just be to trust what you need. That there are so many practices that are available to us, and to try them and to kind of add them to your toolkit. So at different points in the day or different points in your life, you can call on those. And I'm definitely going to check out what Sarah offered. Um, Attend wisely to grief. The beauty is our profound love of life. That is so true, Teresa. And Ian, are we no longer allowed in this program? We should be able to respond to posts and have our on. Oh, okay. So on just as a reminder, and especially if there's anybody here is new, the only day, Wednesday is the day that is called meeting format, and that is when cameras are on, we can interact with each other, we can unmute, or we can stay muted with camera off and use the chat, but there's a lot more flexibility. Those sessions are not recorded. Those, Tuesday and Thursday, those are webinar format as this is. And so only on Tuesday, Thursday, we're in webinar format where we can't talk to each other. But on Wednesdays, that's the day when we can. The other, like the last thing I'll say too is to take good care of whatever emotion has arisen. So just whether it is anger, frustration, and often with anger, when we notice the arising, and practice helps us notice the arising before we act, that just taking care that anger has arisen, the noticing of it allows us to breathe with it and then take an action that's in alignment with our values. The other route is that we impulsively act and then we feel regret. So um, take good care of our emotions, and that's Thich Nhat Hanh. That is one of his teachings that has always stayed with me. Yeah, so with that, I just wish everybody a really good weekend. Very exciting that spring is on its way, or here officially, and we'll see you on Tuesday. Okay, bye everybody.